News Radio 700 WLW.
Back with Eddie and Rocky. And Rock, we've been talking about it here for the last few minutes about planning your own funeral. Is that something you'd like to, we're talking about whether or not, you in general.
Right. And we discussed that. I feel like more and more the trend is celebrations of life instead of just, kind of very sad funerals. So a pretty unique company that our next guest has, I Made the Arrangements, allows you to plan your funeral and what kind of tone you want it to have before you go. Pretty interesting.
Let's talk to the man who founded this experience. It is I Made the Arrangements, and it's founded by Paul Freed. Hey, Paul, welcome to the program.
Hey, Eddie, Rocky, how are you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. So tell us, Paul, where did this idea come from? I assume you were in the business before this came to you.
Not in this business.
Really?
So, no. Listen, I would consider myself, maybe an habitual entrepreneur. But I have always thought about my legacy and always thought about, the way I live my life and, how I'll be judged in the end. And, and that's really by my peers and who's going to eulogize me and what they're going to say when they're lowering that box into the ground. So I have often thought about how we view funerals, how we view death and dying. And for the last 2 years, been doing a lot of research on the topic and realizing that we are a death-denying culture. Right? This is a topic that people don't talk about. And what happens, right? By not talking about it, by not making any plans, right? We leave behind chaos. And I don't know any loving parent that wants to leave that behind for their children, right? And, I often thought about this. I'd love to create some sort of a video where, like somebody's looking down from above at the chaos that they've inadvertently left behind by not making any plans. Right. I'll share this story. I've talked to a lot of people over the course of the last 2 years. I had a conversation with two sisters. Their mom passed away, and they had her cremated. 3 months later, they're cleaning out the house, and they found a legal pad with, where she wanted to be buried. Right. But and again, right, because we don't talk about this, people just don't know. So I started thinking about that, and I started putting together a questionnaire and then thought about this website and said, what, like, why not? So, spent about 1.5 years building the site. And again, I made the arrangements.com. So what started out as kind of funeral planning, right? Like just logistics. Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? What do you want done with your ashes? What would you like to wear? Any readings? Who would you like to read them? Identify pallbearers, things like this. When you think about sibling infighting, when it comes to things like this, right? Like just even picking out a casket. If there's no direction, nobody knows. So, and then it just started to kind of morph into something even bigger. And, you had mentioned a little earlier, that people want to celebrate the life, right? And this is, we find this more and more today in that, people they're steering away from mourning the loss and focusing more on the life. And that's really what we're trying to do, trying to convince people that, look, this is a life cycle event. And, why do you want to ignore it? Look, think about a wedding, right? People will spend 2 years planning a wedding. And, I hate to break the news to you, but statistically in this country, that wedding's going to last 8 years. Right?
Whereas everybody dies.
Right, and that lasts a long time.
Yeah, you'll probably be dead a lot longer than 8 years.
Right, so, right. So, Paul, when did you start this, and how many clients, if you will, do you have?
So our site went live about 3 months ago.
Okay.
We currently have about 160 users on the site, and we've just kind of trickled this out through a social media campaign. What we're really kind of gearing up for is, pushing this to HR brokers and group benefit providers for employers to offer as a health and wellness benefit. So within the site, you can, again, create this document that will outline your funeral plan itself. And then once you get done with that questionnaire, the system will email you back a hard copy. So now you can share that with your loved ones. And we took that same logic and we created a will builder and an advanced directive builder. So people can go in there, they create a will, create a living will. There's also a place in there where you can store all of your account information so that your loved ones know exactly what's what. Try to avoid probate. We ask that you identify what we call a wish keeper. Think along the lines of an executor. And they will have limited access to your information while you're alive. Their key role would be to enter the date that you pass away. Within your profile, you can add as many contacts as you'd like. You can create a notification of passing. When your wish keeper logs in that date of passing, all of your contacts will get an email from you letting them know that you passed away.
Yeah, that's Rocky and I were talking about that particular angle with this thing. I'm not real sure about that. I mean, are people taking advantage of that because the one thing that kind of, I don't know, it's borderline creepy to me, and I'm not kidding, Paul. I can understand it, but my wife told me that she would dig me up and kill me again if I sent her a happy birthday wish 3 years after I died.
So that feature we'll talk about in a second. What I'm talking about now is just a notification of passing, just letting your contacts know that you passed away. And where that came from, really, if you run into an old school chum and they'll tell you about the passing of a mutual friend, and like I know for me, sometimes it's like, wow, I wish I would have known. I would love to go to the funeral, but again, you've got a family that has 24 to 48 hours to kind of put a funeral together, and people get overlooked. So we added that feature so that people that are important to you will be notified. Right? Within the site, you can also write your own obituary, write your own eulogy. You can upload a video eulogy if you'd like. They can play that at your funeral. But the final thoughts feature, where you could queue up emails or text messages to go out after you pass away. And I'll share with you where that came from. So I was adopted at 6 days old. Through the powers of online DNA, I made contact with my birth mother.
Oh, wow.
And here's a woman who, got pregnant at 16, gave birth to me at 17, went on to live a full life. She's married. She has 2 children. She's never told anybody about me. Her and I carried on a phone relationship for about 3 years. And I found it kind of nuts that, she's never spoken about this. So that's where that feature came from. It's really more about kind of, maybe just kind of cleansing prior to, right? Like if there's something you've been carrying around your whole life, you just want to unload before you go and die with a clean soul, right? Here's an opportunity you can do that. Yeah. But you could also, if someone chose to, right, you can queue up emails to, maybe birthday wishes to your children. Another scenario was, someone's terminal and then maybe they're not going to be around to walk their daughter down the aisle and, want to get off an email or something, or just a goodbye note. And then ultimately, the site syncs with Spotify. You can create a playlist, hey, play these songs at my funeral. And then ultimately you can create an online legacy with all this information that you've kind of uploaded that could be out there now for future generations.
Paul, let me ask you this. Is there like a menu of like, hey, I want to do this, and this, and here's how it costs kind of thing?
Yeah. So, what we have is, there's tiered memberships. So, there's a small fee if you wanted to go in and just anybody can go in, create a membership and create their funeral plan. That's a free feature that anybody can use. If you needed a will and an advanced directive, it's $49 and change. It's nominal. There's not much to it. And there's a monthly subscription as well, which gives you most of the features. But ultimately, if you wanted to create an online legacy, there's a fee for that also, but it's nominal in the overall scheme of things.
All right.
This is really about reducing the stress related to the grief, right? And look, again, death it always comes as a surprise because nobody's ever talking about it, right? Nobody's really prepared. So, now you've got a family that has to make all these plans, certainly a funeral, right? You got to put that together in 24 to 48 hours. It's daunting, and you have to do this while you're in the middle of grieving and you're experiencing this tremendous loss. So
with that, Paul Freed, we will let you go. This is fascinating stuff, and people want to find out more. They can just go to the website and check it all out themselves, right?
Absolutely. Yep, I made the arrangements.com.
Hey, Paul.
Checking it out right now.
Thanks so much.
Guys, thank you.
Thanks, Paul.